Thank you very much, Michael, for that introduction. I'm really excited to be part of this collaboration. I think that one thing about Michael and I is we really do share a passion for making a difference in aged care. Michael's very much about the engagement, the collaboration and the retention, and I'm about the leadership. And I know what it means because I've been there. I've been working on this particular program and versions of it for a number of years. Because we've found, the people that work with me, is there's a lot of things out there, but they're very academic and they don't they're very general and they don't necessarily respond to the issues that are quite specific to aged care. And just a little bit of ancient history about me. That isn't me, actually. And when you say over 30 years, all right, that's really dating me, just so you know, Michael. I like to think, up to 30 years or thereabouts. But anyway, I actually did start in nursing. When I finished my training in 1988, the first job I ever got was in an aged care service, in a nursing home. And because I was the most qualified person, I was a registered nurse, I was, of course, put in charge. And interesting thing about registered nursing training is none of it includes management. And so really what I was given a job that promoted me to my highest level of incompetence. And I did that really well. Luckily, I was surrounded by people who were, at that time we called them state enrolled nurses. And I'm not sure we called PCAs. I think they were just, people that came and supported us. None of them were trained. So it was a really interesting group of people that I managed. Happily, I didn't really manage them, they managed themselves. And that is the nature of management. That was certainly the nature of management back then, but in a large, to a large extent, I don't know if that's changed as much as it needs to. So what I've noticed over the years is that even now, the registered nurse or the SEN are managers of teams in aged care, and they usually do get promoted to management when they've become proficient carers or proficient clinicians. And then they're quickly, or even expert, some of them are really expert clinicians, and they're put into a role of management. Team leader, nurse unit manager, DON, facility manager. And really what happens is they're put into they go back down the slope to novice manager. But without the sort of support that you need to then start climbing up that slope again, it can be quite devastating. And it certainly was for me. It was pretty devastating for quite a time before I started learning, and it was pure ad hoc learning for some years. And we know that, and this isn't just aged care, this is everywhere, in the first 2 years of a manager's management life, half of them fail. So it can also be really devastating to your service if they don't get that active support. Since, living longer, living better, the nature of the market's changed. You would know better than I do how that affects you on the ground and in your businesses. It's become a whole lot more competitive. The amazing amount of care packages now available, particularly for people who have high care needs, has really created an alternative that has meant that for some places, and I'm actually a director in a private nursing home on the board, and I've noticed, and you may have too, that over the years we've always had 90, 99, 98% occupancy, and now we're getting 96, and that's really worrying. I mean, this place has got a specialty type of service as well, so it's quite distinguished. And I'm looking at it from a director's point of view thinking, this isn't going to get better. This is potentially going to get worse. So we do need to know, what do we do in this business what's our point of difference, I guess. And you may have read this in the one of the reports, and that's very much about basically saying it's no longer a welfare economy, it's a market economy. And I think that what's important here is you need people, managers in particular, who know how to manage a business. They need to know how to manage, obviously, budgets and all of that, because the revenue is going to be seriously impacted. I know that we're worried about that in the aged care service I'm a director at because of the occupancy level. So you really do need managers to not only manage the budgets, but also to identify alternative sources of revenue. To make sure that the people that work for them have a really strong stewardship mentality. They're not wasting resources or frittering away, money, etc. But you also need managers. In fact, that's an area you could make a huge amount of savings, because we know that when managers don't manage well, they cost the service a fortune. And these are some little, I suppose, vignettes of some of the analysis that we've done in our team of what it's cost some places when the manager wasn't really managing very well. And you can see it adds up really quickly. So in essence, you really do need managers now, and probably we always did, but it's going to get more and more the case now, that have a serious business mentality and the capacity to actually manage it like a business, but also enable their people and encourage their people to make sure that every contact they have with their residents, with their clients, with their customers is high quality every single time. And I know you get this. I'm actually just telling you what I know. I sort of figure you also know this, so I don't mean to tell you to suck eggs at all. This is the way I see it though. So we've got, as again, managers move into management, at least for a little while, they are passengers because they're new skills, and hopefully you've got some great leaders in your organisations who actually will provide them with the mentoring and the training that they need to very quickly go up that sort of ladder and become multipliers, because that's what you need. You need managers who feel so empowered and so capable and who have such a sense of the future and what needs to happen that they can actually inspire the people underneath them to operate at a much higher level. And they're the multipliers. That's what we try to promote in the programs we do. That's the aspirations where we're pushing them. But the thing I noticed about people who work in aged care and health is they're so busy, they really don't have the time to learn. And to do a diploma, such as what we're providing, or any diploma for that matter, is a huge impost. It really, they can't imagine what difference it could make. It's actually just an added stress. They're incredibly practical people. So we don't want to add it as an unnecessary impost. What we do is make sure that all of the learning they do are around problems that they face in their day-to-day work, the issues that their organisations face all the time. And all of the learning that they do focuses on addressing these things. And we know, there's quite a lot of research out there now that the idea of flipping the classroom, I don't know if you've heard of Salman Khan. He's the founder of the Khan Academy. And I think it was him that coined the term flipped classroom. So what happens is that people do their reading, their thinking, some of their assignments outside of the classroom, and they come together to actually apply it. And that's the strength of our group. Like we are experts in the field, even if I do say so myself. I don't mean that. But like not just us, actually the people we bring together. We've got so much to share. So the whole program is based on these, I guess, 3 dimensions. We do focus on developing the manager's competence. At that level in particular, they want to know, I just want to know how to do the job. I want to know what the core competencies are. And I want to know, I can do it. But they also need to be confident. And I know through my own research that it's all very well to give people training in competencies, but if they're not practicing these things as they're learning them, they don't build the muscle memory and the confidence to actually apply it. And the way we do that is focus them on their context. What is it you're dealing with right now that's really important in your role to your organisation. Let's focus on those things. They're the projects that will matter.